The, the thing that makes me most concerned about a Trump presidency, which you're seeing already, is the emboldening of straight up white supremacy, of people who have been hiding. You know, I've been calling them on my little social media rants Cylons. For any nerd who watches Battlestar Galactica, there was sort of, the fleet was being sabotaged and falling apart, and little did they know that the enemy was sort of hiding amongst them, looking like them, talking to them, but all of a sudden things would go haywire, nobody could figure out why. So the thing that concerns me the most is there's a lot of people who said they voted for Hillary, there's a lot of people who said they were for Obama, and then they went into that booth in Brooklyn and all over the country and then flipped the switch. So there's a concern that they can't come out and weren't able to express their concerns, and then they come out now that Trump is sort of taken off the mask, they're coming out there and they're getting extremely reckless, and all things that they've been tucking inside for all this time may come out in a flood. The goals and solutions to remedy this problem, I think, is one, you got to call it out. I was reading an article where they said, to deal with racism, to call it out, or call people racist is not the most effective way, which is just madness to me, is that when you see the injustice going on, particularly with this issue with racism, you have to call it out and say, you have voted for a white supremacist, you and the KKK share a candidate in common, and the conversation must start that way. And then eventually maybe that shaking up or ripping off the Band-Aid can start the actual dialogue, and we can explain to folks, why did you do this? What is your thinking? What is my thinking? Why am I so upset? And then eventually move to a higher plane of awareness. I think that, again, they're still just hiding in the mud, and now want to sort of on Facebook, on social media, throw these bombs, but don't want to actually engage for it. But you got to call it out. We got to call a spade, no pun intended. I think what needs to be done is organization. We went through anger and then depression, these 7 stages of grief. Now that's over with. You got the midterm elections are coming. 2020 will be here even further down the line, but there are local elections, the city council members. Ken Thompson passed away, so who's going to be the Brooklyn DA? You need to put in a DA that is not going to enforce potentially these mandates that may come down from on high, like the chief of the LAPD said, I'm not just going to deport people, that's not my job. We need people in the DA, we need chiefs, we need to force de Blasio's hand to make sure that the wicked things that Trump and Bannon and Breitbart may try to implement are stopped right here on the grassroots level, because, and again, force them to make a spectacle. You want to go and, round up the brothers at the mosque around my way, send the National Guard to do that. Make it, if you're about that life, then be about that life. But we're going to stand here and say we're not going to do it, but we have to have politicians and people in public places. And then one last thing is, we at the Brooklyn Bodega and Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival are starting an organization called the Zero Campaign, where we can actually have a place where hip hop community can organize.